Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Ready for new stories I've prepared for you? Let's go to the first one, about OP, who is furious because his mother decided that their family house should belong to his sister, while OP's late father promised it to OP. Well, there is a reason for saying that money is the most trusted material to test human nature. Listen to the end of the story to hear my insights about the situation. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. So, my father recently passed away, and my mother has dropped the bombshell that our sister, 39, will be taking the family home, and myself and my two brothers, 30 and 38, will be bought out with £40,000 each. Now, I'm not oblivious to the fact that it's a lot of money, but for context, the family home is a modified bungalow in a desirable part of the countryside in the north of Ireland. It's worth at least £300,000 plus in today's market. 3 years ago, my father told me that he would like me to have the house and to buy the siblings out because I've had non-stop health issues and multiple life-changing surgeries by the time I was 21, and I'm 28 now, and I've had more surgeries since, resulting in multiple hernias and overall a daily struggle with pain. He wanted me to have the house because of all his children. I have the worst chance at a decent life and will likely have to quit working before I'm 50. My mother at the time shot him down and said it's unfair on the other 3 kids and it shouldn't go to one child. Now here we are. My sister is on the will for owning the house, and she'll get a £300,000+ countryside house for a £120,000 mortgage, which is basically for nothing, and her partner owns his home in a local town. Are we the a-holes for being upset that we get $40,000 each, while my sister, whose partner owns a home and is a year away from being fully paid, gets our family home instead of selling the house and splitting it 4 ways? Also, sister and her boyfriend are self-employed and bankrupt, working for cash in hand mainly, very little through their accounts. This will likely result in no bank giving them a £120,000 mortgage, which they have 3 years to obtain, and nothing written in the will stipulating the repercussions if unable to obtain the mortgage. My mother feels she has done right by us, and can't understand why we aren't taking it well, and just brushes off the fact that a year before she signed the will to my sister, she told me that it would be unfair for me to get the house, despite being disabled and having no partner who already owns a home. I'm renting at £650 a month, and my other 2 brothers have their own homes and paying a mortgage, so it's especially hurtful to me, even though I wouldn't want the house and would prefer an even split. I think OP has the right to his feelings, as it looks like OP's mom favors the sister. It feels completely unfair, and £40,000 doesn't make sense at all. If you divide £300,000 by 4, OP should at least be getting £75,000. It isn't fair that OP's sister is getting so much more than everyone else, especially when she doesn't have any reason to justify this. Let's see if the community agrees with me. Kronk La Swarta says, at $300,000 split 4 ways, you each should have gotten $75,000, not $40,000. Not the a-hole, clearly. Your sister is your mother's favorite. Time to talk to a lawyer and see what is really in the will. Woofrigerator says, not the a-hole. Also, consult with a lawyer on this. You're not being bought out if you're not being paid an equitable share. You're being fleeced. Prairie Mountain Zen. Info. Did your sister inherit the house because she doesn't plan on selling it? Maybe your father gave it to her specifically because she wants to keep it and continue living in it, especially since you say you wouldn't even want the house. What will your mother do? How come she just didn't take over the house? They signed the will 2 years ago and never sat any of us down to gather our intentions. They just assumed my sister would keep the house and that $40,000 would be a fine payout. We asked our mother why she couldn't have asked us. We would have seen who wanted the house and who could afford a mortgage that is enough to split to buy off the others equally and fairly. The house is now in my mother's name, but she doesn't have long left, with her cancer being terminal now. But when she dies, it will be placed in my sister's name. My stepdaughter, 17, got her license recently. Her father bought her a car. I'm going to be transparent and say that this was a decision that I didn't agree with. My stepdaughter has not demonstrated in any way that she is responsible enough to have a car. She picked up my 10-year-old daughter from school nearly every day. She was always telling me that stepdaughter is texting and driving live and driving it. I've confronted her about it and she denies it, or says that it's just at red lights. The phone should be away while driving, period. Her mom agrees with me on this. We even have arranged for our younger daughter to come home from school with a friend instead. I was working out in the yard and saw her pulling up down the street. She was driving while looking down at her phone. When she pulled into the driveway, I told her I had saw her and asked her what the hell she was doing. She told me that it was just in the neighborhood, so it was fine. It is not fine. I called her father and told him what was going on. This is the third time or so that I've complained to him about this. He always says he will talk to her. He refuses to take away the car. My wife won't let me take away the keys either. This time I gave him 3 options. Come get the car, put cameras in the car so that we can monitor her behavior while driving, or I'm locking the steering wheel. He gave me some BS about not telling him how to parent his daughter, that lives with me, and hung up the phone on me. I'm thinking, all right, since nobody wants to deal with the situation, I'm locking the steering wheel until the car gets cameras or is removed from my property. Everyone is in an uproar over this. My wife is saying I'm overstepping boundaries. My daughter isn't speaking to me. The father is threatening police action if I don't unlock the car. I think they refuse to parent. Am I the a-hole for locking the steering wheel? I think OP should unlock the car. Call or go down to the police station, explain the situation, and give them her driving route. Get her cited for distracted driving and get her license taken away. I don't know where OP lives, but texting and driving where I live is a pretty serious moving violation. If her parents won't do anything, OP should let the police handle it. Let's see if the community has the same opinion as me. JJ Sex says, everyone sucks here. Remove the lock because legally you will get into trouble. But make it crystal clear that you will not let your 10-year-old daughter ride with your stepdaughter out of safety concerns and enforce that boundary hard. If your stepdaughter wants to K herself, let her do it without taking your daughter with her. Tyra Anya says, not the a-hole. She's being a danger to herself and others. What about putting a parental lock on her phone where it is unusable when in a car? There are various apps like that out there. Maybe that would be a deterrent. And get everyone off your back as she'd have access to the car again. Walking Thrones 19 says, oh man, okay, technically you didn't buy the car. It's not yours. But I have to go with not the a-hole, solely because you could absolutely save your daughter's life or someone else's. She has to understand driving while texting or whatever else on her phone is dangerous. It's time to sit down with everyone and have a serious talk. You and your wife need to figure out how to get on the same page about it all. Perhaps find a different solution. But with all that said, with the car not being yours, I don't know if you can just lock it up. When my fiancé and I started dating, he would rant about how his ex-wife always wanted her to buy him jewelry. He works in finance and makes decent salary, has for a while now. I had my own income at that time. Plus, I had seen my dad give my mom lots of ugly jewelry throughout the years. So during one of his many rants, I was like, babe, it's okay. You don't ever have to buy me jewelry. Fast forward to now. We had a baby several months ago, and shortly afterwards, fiancé got down on one knee and proposed. With a ring pop. I said yes, of course. I'm happy to marry him, and I don't need a ring. Or so I thought. I haven't changed my mind about him not buying me jewelry for anniversaries or birthdays. I truly don't care about that. I don't want to have to pretend I like something I don't, etc. That's totally fine. But I kind of thought an engagement or wedding ring wouldn't really count in that whole thing. I don't know if it's my fault for never clarifying. I've tried to talk about it with him, explaining I would actually like just a simple wedding band or something. It didn't have to be a diamond. He said it wasn't about the money, it's about the principle. He's never ever buying me a piece of jewelry, like we agreed. He is very adamant and has gotten more angry with me over this than I expected. I don't have a job anymore because I'm doing the stay-at-home mom thing, his choice. So I don't have money to buy myself a ring at this point. Half of me is telling myself, this is fine, stop being materialistic. It's not the ring that's important at all. The other half of me is tired of explaining to my friends and family that yes, we are engaged, even though I have no ring, and wondering if this is a really big red flag. Like maybe he's going to end up being really controlling. Am I a crazy person for agreeing to this and now changing my mind? If I had a job, I would just buy my own simple gold wedding band and not really think twice about it. But as it stands, I don't have the means to buy my own. I didn't realize how important this was to me, and now it's too late. Well, I personally see a lot of red flags here. First of all, he is very stubborn and not even willing to listen to OP's side and wishes. And second, the stay-at-home mom situation. He sounds controlling. So yeah, not a good situation for OP to be in, I think. I think there's no point trying to talk to him and change his mind, because that's not going to happen. OP just needs to wait and see how their family gets on, and leave if the situation gets worse. Let's see what the community has to say about the situation. Winter Travel 5749 says, "It's a red flag that he won't even entertain the idea that you may have changed your mind. It's a red flag that he seems controlling and inflexible. He also seems cheap. I mean, come on, he's in finance and gives you a ring pop. That's not even cute or funny. It's sad." Cursed 818 says, "Not the a-hole. Your fiancé's stubborn outlook on a pretty juvenile agreement is a bit alarming. You are not his ex, so why does he keep insisting on casting you in that light? He seems determined to insinuate you are incredibly materialistic, even though it was his suggestion that you gave up your job and are now reliant on his income only. I would consider it a red flag if my partner refused to even discuss something as important as our engagement or wedding on an equal footing." Cranky Kitty says, "Not the a-hole. Every agreement can be renegotiated. Things change. People change. Flexibility is important, especially in marriage. And stop explaining why you don't have an engagement ring. Refer everyone who asks straight to your fiancé and let him explain to them exactly why he isn't buying you an engagement ring. Stop being his buffer here and let him face the consequences of his choices." I, 24 male, have a nephew, 4 male, that is usually tossed to me by my older sister, 27 female, or younger sister whenever they decide to make plans. Not that I don't like spending time with my nephew, but they usually throw him onto me whenever I have plans or I simply just don't want to deal with a screaming child. My younger sister, 17 female, is mostly the one who watches my nephew, as she gets paid for it, but every once in a while, when she makes plans to go out, she informs me last minute and leaves him at my place, so I have no choice but to watch him. Recently, it was my girlfriend's, 22 female, birthday, and I wanted to celebrate by taking her out for a week at a beach and amusement park. I informed my family about this event ahead of time so that there would be no interruptions. On the day of us leaving, I get a call from my younger sister saying how she can no longer watch my nephew, as she is going to have a sleepover with her boyfriend and a couple of friends, and that if we can please watch him as she will be unavailable too. I told my sister that I will not watch him, and that I informed her that I made these plans and told them way ahead of time. She got extremely upset and called my older sister, who also in return called me extremely upset, and how dare I put a girl over my nephew. My girlfriend overheard the convo we had and felt extremely bad, that she offered to watch him and that we can bring him along, but I continue to put my foot down and inform her that if someone needs to watch him, my parents can. But in the end, I compromised and took him with us. Throughout the whole week, our vacation just didn't go well. I could tell my girlfriend wasn't enjoying herself, as we both had to babysit my nephew, leaving us with no private times or relaxation, which made me feel way more bad. After coming back, I informed both my sisters that since we had to bring him along, if they could both pay for all the extra cost we had to pay for including him, and they are refusing to, calling me an a-hole and that I'm putting my girlfriend over my own nephew. So, am I the a-hole? Well, guys, honestly, this time I think OP is in the wrong here for not putting his foot down and refusing to watch his nephew. He should have said no, and end of conversation. I am a great believer that people treat you the way you let them treat you. Only we can set up boundaries. Let's see if the community agrees with me. Latex Blizz says, "Not the a-hole, but you need to grow a spine. What you are doing is not okay. You might love the kid, but it's not your kid, and it should not have a negative impact on your life. It might come with angry people, but you need to say no and stick with it." Calligrapher Few 9185 says, "Not the a-hole. Yikes. You aren't choosing a girl over your sister or nephew. You are choosing your own well-being and personal space over unpaid labor. It's incredibly manipulative that your sisters are implying that you're not prioritizing your family when you literally just took your nephew on a week-long vacation. Childcare is expensive for a reason. It's a lot of work emotionally and physically. Your sisters clearly feel entitled to tell you how to spend your time, energy. It's best to nip that in the bud." Do I Want to Know 6417 says, "Honestly, grow a spine. You totally let yourself be pushed over by your sisters, even to the point of letting them ruin your couple vacation. You are not the child's parent. You are not responsible for the child. You are its uncle. You get to take it to do fun stuff, but only when you plan the fun stuff, not because the kid is being dumped on you. No is a full sentence. You need to use that phrase, and your sisters need to respect that. And they owe you for ruining your vacation by dumping the kid on you, not the a-hole." 2 years ago, my sister, I'll call her Marie, passed away. She had a myriad of health problems, and though her death was not sudden nor a surprise, Our entire family was hit extremely hard. My mother especially, as they were very close. Unfortunately, my mother was an awful person to everyone except for Marie. She was an aggressive person to me and my older sister Anna, in ways better left unsaid. But suffice to say, we will have no problem throwing her in the worst, cheapest nursing home we can find once her mental state declines a bit further. Before she passed away, Maria made it known that she would like the next girl born in our family to be named after our mother. Whether or not my mother put her up to it is something we'll never know. Anna and I both agreed at the time, although I only did so because I didn't have the heart to tell her no. Now my wife is pregnant with our daughter, and I can't do it. I can't honor the woman who put me through so much hell. I spoke with Anna about it, and she told me that I'd made a promise to Marie. She said that to go back on that word would be spitting in the face of Marie's memory, and to think of it as honoring Marie and not my mother. I accept Anna's logic, but emotionally I'm extremely unsure. My wife is totally on board with whatever I want to do, because we're using her all-time favorite name as the first name. So we'd be using my mother's name as a middle name, if at all. If y'all could give me some perspective, that would be appreciated. Am I the a-hole? Well, first of all, I think this is a very strange request from OP's late sister. You just don't pressure people into things against their wishes. I think it wasn't fair to have such a request. It's OP's child and his decision to make, so I think OP should not name his daughter after his mother. But also, OP shouldn't have agreed to it in the first place. I know it was hard for him to say no, but now he has moral doubts, destroying him. Let's see what the community says. Miss Sachs says, "You would not be the a-hole. Don't do it. Your daughter deserves a fresh start in life and a father that doesn't cringe every time you say her name. You could instead name her after your sister." Callie the Blaze says, "Not the a-hole. That wasn't a fair thing that your sister asked you to do. If she'd been acting as a good sister at the time, she never should have asked it. Certainly, it's understandable that her illness and physical frailty may have clouded her judgment, and it'd probably be healthy to forgive her for that at some point if you haven't already, and it sounds like you already have forgiven her for that, OP. You are not bound to honor your aggressor, even if your sister asked you to. It's as simple as that. You do not owe her memory something that will be painful to you, and will probably provoke pain every time it comes up. She should never have asked, and she probably wasn't thinking clearly when she did.